Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Recording this on a Thursday, June 13th, 2024. We are episode 962 of the Real Deal Podcast. We'll be at 1,000. Probably the fall, maybe beginning of 2025. So not that far away from episode 1,000. A lot of NBA, of course, on this podcast with some of the stuff that's going on in the NBA. The Lakers, of course, took some of the spotlight from the finals, which has become, a just demolition after what transpired last night. That's where we begin. Game 3 of the finals. The Celtics take it 106-99. They are now one win away from reclaiming the all-time lead in championships won in NBA history with banner 18. This was a game that really changed in the third quarter after basically an even game for the first half. Dallas was up. Dallas was up by 1 point at halftime, and you knew they were in trouble. They blew a 13-point lead in the first quarter. Celtics it didn't take long for the Celtics to come back and actually take the lead or even make the game basically come back in the game, take that lead away, erase that lead quickly in the second at the end of the first quarter. That lead towards the second quarter. Listen, the Celtics are just they're a complete team from a standpoint of the depth of talent that they have, and we are watching them evolve right before our eyes in terms of how they play basketball. And what I mean by that is, they have taken a bunch of threes in this series. They, have taken 129 threes in this series. They have a 43-22 advantage over Dallas in the 3-point game, which has been a major factor. But it is the quality of 3-point shots that they're getting. That's where they have evolved as a team. They're not just jacking up threes just for the sake of jacking up threes. Tatum and Brown are going to the basket. They're getting points in the paint. We saw game 2. Drew Holiday was like 9 for 9 in the paint when he had his great performance in game 2, and they are just destroying Dallas at the point of attack. In regards to Dallas's defense, in terms of on the ball defense, Dallas, in particular, Luka cannot stay in front of Tatum and Brown, or stay in front of anybody for that matter. And if you look at the quality of shots that Boston's getting versus Dallas, everything for Dallas is hard. Just about everything for Dallas is hard. A lot of even when Luka and Kyrie Irving are cooking, it's just like tough shots versus open shots. And you look at last night, that was it. I mean, you heard Joe Mazzulla during these timeouts saying basically, hey, we're getting good shots. And you're hearing this emphasis over the course of this series with Tatum saying, we're not doing the step backs anymore, hardly. You don't see that many step back jump shots for Boston. Yeah, occasionally from Tatum, occasionally from Brown, but for the most part, they're either going to the rim, or creating, or driving and kicking, and Dallas, frankly, just has no answer for it. Dallas does not have great on the ball defensive players. They don't have, of course, a Derek White, Drew Holiday. They don't have, even what Minnesota has as far as on the ball defensive players that can keep you in front of them. They don't even have that. And this is, look, we discussed this on the last podcast. There's a clear discrepancy in talent between these two teams. We discussed it on last Saturday, that one team has 4 All-Stars, the other team has 2. And you look at this series, if I'm ranking the players, who's been the 5 best players in this series, I would go probably Brown 1, Luka 2, Drew Holiday 3, Porzingis before he hurt, probably 4. Tatum 5. Kyrie 6th. And the role players, it hasn't even been close. I mean, last night you have Tillman, Hauser, and Pritchard came in and were combined plus 24 and actually had more than adequate defense. So Celtics have completely just imposed their will on Dallas. It was a bad matchup to begin with. I thought it could possibly go to 6. I thought that there would be a one game where Dallas, where Luka would have a monster game, one of those 40-point, 13, 12 games, and another game where Boston shoots like 8 for 40, and where Dallas could still. Well, that game happened in game 2 where Boston couldn't make a 3, and Dallas still was not able to take advantage of that because of how poorly Kyrie played. Even Dallas's role players played well in that game, like P.J. Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., and Gafford. Those guys played well enough for them to win, and Luka played relatively well in that game as well. In that game too, that was the game that was going to make the series a somewhat competitive. Down 2-0 to a team that came into last night 20-7 in their last 27 road playoff games, which is historic. That's like as good as playoff run as we've ever seen on the road. It just didn't serve. It was not going to be a good recipe for Dallas. Again, Boston right now. Boston completely owns their identity of who and what they are. Yeah, we can shoot threes, but we're gonna get any type of. We're gonna get the 3-point shots that we want to get. And one of the things about great defense is you got to take something away. Dallas hasn't taken away the 3-point shot right now. Boston again, they've outscored Dallas 129-66 from the 3-point line. Last night, Boston was able to attempt 46 3-point shots. You're not beating them if you're giving up almost 50 3-point shots to them because they're going to make a percentage of them. Period. They're going to make a percentage of those shots. And Dallas, just from an offensive standpoint, just can't match up with that. Once you get past Luka and Kyrie, they don't have much offensively. But this is about Boston. I'm not even knocking Dallas, even if they get swept, because when we look back on this series, we're gonna look back at a team in Boston that frankly is the best team we've seen since the 18 Warriors. The best team of this decade of the 2020s up to this point, and they're gonna look back. We're gonna look back at their net rating. Look back at the fact that they, probably gonna go 16-2 in the playoffs. So 16 plus 64. You're talking about 82 wins. We're gonna look back at this being a historic, one of the best teams, not in the history of basketball, but one of the best teams, definitely one of the best teams of the 21st century, for sure. So I think that this history is going to shine very well on this Celtic team when this series is over. And for all they received their share of criticism as a duo. Tatum and Brown as a duo were phenomenal. Now, Tatum had a bad second half, but he was great in the first half and kept Boston in the game when they probably should have been down 10 to 15 points if it wasn't for his first half, his 20-point first half. And Brown was just all over the place in the second half and really, ends the game with 30 points, 8 rebounds, and eight assists. Really, I think sealed the deal unless he has like a 5-point game or something like that in game 4. I think Brown is Brown's finals MVP to lose, which is, of course, the only drama left in this series. And they did this without Porzingis, who was, of course, great in game 1 and played well before he got hurt and was playing well in game 2. So, I thought Dallas would win last night without Porzingis. But I knew Boston was in. I knew they were in trouble when that game It was a 1 point game after the first quarter. Said this is not looking good. This is not good for them. They should be up. They had a 13-point lead, and that lead that lead got evaporated too quickly. As far as Dallas goes, from the Dallas standpoint, from the Luka Doncic standpoint, here's the thing. So Luka fouls out for the first time in his career in the playoffs. He picks up 4 fouls in the fourth quarter. I didn't realize he was even in foul trouble. It happened so fast. I'm like, damn, he has 4 fouls already. I went back and watched the fourth quarter. They were all legitimate fouls, and we can go back and forth with the Jaylen Brown fouls, or whatever. We can take it apart, do the Zubu of the film, whatever. Here's the bottom line about Luka. Luka is all of Luka's bitching and moaning to the officials over the last 4 or 5 years. It bit him in the ass last night. These officials are supposed to be objective. They're supposed to, not worry about past dealings or feelings, or be in their feelings about how they've been treated by players in the past and what have you. No, ultimately they're human beings. This guy has made a habit of complaining and shitting on officials for basically his entire career. He's not going to get, at this stage in his career right now, he does not going to get the benefit of doubt. And you saw it last night. I thought that I would never see a perimeter player of his ilk, who is a legit top 5, top 3 player, foul out of a finals game. That lets you know that the officials, as much as he hates the officials can't stand Luka Doncic. And it is all Luka's fault. And it's part of Dallas's fault for enabling him. Let's be honest with you. After the series was over, someone needs to take Luka aside, preferably Jason Kidd, because Jason Kidd is a Hall of Fame point guard, Olympic gold medalist, and has that type of cachet, and say, look, man, this is why you fouled out. It wasn't so much just bad calls. You fouled out because this is a culmination of your behavior towards officials. And again, there's no player that bitches more. They all complain at this point in 2024 in the NBA, but Luka is the heavyweight champion of complaining to officials on every call. Even when he gets calls, he complains. So from a psychological standpoint, he's missing something as a leader. His defensive performance last night was abysmal. I saw a stat. Luka, so in terms of blow-by percentage, Luka had the highest blow-by percentage, 67.7% of any player in a game in the last decade. Jason Kidd says he wants him to participate. Dad wasn't participating. That performance. They were taking turns on Luka like at will, and Luka was putting up 0 to no resistance. Now, people want to make excuses for him with the knee, okay, but even before the knee, we've seen Luka like that. If the knee allows him to score 30 points and get like 25, 26 shot attempts, then it should allow him to put a better effort out there on defense. So, when Brian Windhorst rips Luka, it's rightfully so. Luka took a beating. He should have took a beating after this game. He was bad. He was not good in this game at all. Wasn't good. Again, he could put up 30, 10, and 10 in his sleep. I don't go by Luka's numbers. You can't look at Luka's numbers and gauge his performance at times. You got to actually watch, again, what type of impact he's having on the game. They're complaining to the officials. Is he efficient as far as the volume of shots versus his scoring? He wasn't good last night. That was like a B-, C+, B- performance, and they need him to be A++ for them to even have a chance. Right now, Tatum and Brown and Tatum are clearly outplaying Luka and Irving and the role players in the whole bit. And again, look, there's a significant discrepancy in talent between these two teams, and it's showing. Now, again, I didn't think it would show to this magnitude, exploited to this magnitude, but it has. Boston, again, only giving up Dallas was killing people with corner threes. Boston has only given up 14 corner three attempts over the course of 3 games, just 14. And Dallas only has made 5 of 14. So they've taken that away. For the most part, last night, Dallas kind of got loose with the lobs, but for the most part, they've taken the lobs away. Give the Celtics credit. You get down, you're up 2-0, get down by 13 on the road. They did not panic. Now, the fourth quarter was rough. They had a 21-point lead with like 11:07:06 left, and they almost wet the bed to a point to where it got down to 3. It really shouldn't have been that close, but Dallas was desperate. They got hot from 3-point land. Celtics kind of got discombobulated, lost their way, started taking Dallas type shots, these difficult shots. A lot of, you saw a lot of one-on-one, but, Boston, which it has done during this postseason, was able to recover during clutch time. They are now 7-0 in clutch time games. That was a knock. That was something that was they were criticized for over the course of the regular season. They have been criticized in past playoffs of how they performed in the late stretches, especially in games and playoff games in the fourth quarter. That has not been the case in this postseason. So when this series is over, and I anticipate it will be over probably tomorrow, worst come to worst, Monday. But when this is over, we're gonna look back and say they just, this was an absolute just mismatch. And not in terms of a bad matchup, but one team just clearly just has just a significant talent advantage over the other. And Luka still has a ways to go. That's all there is to it. One thing that's come out of this series to me is Luka's not a better player than Giannis. He's not. He's just not. I mean, he can score. He's a better scorer. Give him an edge offensively, a slight edge offensively with the playmaking, but all around, he's not better than Giannis, and he's not better. And he's, again, Giannis plays both ends of the floor at a high level. Luka, again, as a defender in this series, has been embarrassing. How bad he's been. Been embarrassingly bad. And he's got to clean up he had to clean up the shit with the officials. Because it cost him last night. That cost him a finals game. He fouls out with 4:12 left. But excellent performance by Boston. You saw a little bit of, you saw the whole bit with Boston. You saw great Boston in the third quarter. You saw bad Boston in the fourth quarter, and then resilient Boston late in the fourth quarter as they were able to hang on. Excellent game, by the way, out of Derek White. Derek White, you look at Pro Basketball Reference, they have all these statistical categories. Luka leads the playoffs in total points, rebounds, and assists. You know who leads the playoffs in win shares? Derek White. Go figure. But that just shows you how deep Boston's team is. Like, he's like their, fifth best player? Or maybe even sixth. Probably their fifth best player. And he leads the entire playoffs in win shares. The deep dive is the Laker circus. Earlier this week, or yesterday, you had Danny Hurley turning down the Lakers 6 years, $70 million. He's going to be back in Connecticut to try to do a three-peat. The Lakers still are assed out right now in terms of their coach. Borrego and some other guys, JJ Redick. At this point, I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. Here's what the Laker problem is. They have so many problems, but the Lakers don't have a culture. They don't have an established set culture. Their culture is LeBron James. And I'm telling you right now, if your culture is your superstar player, you're going to have a ceiling as a franchise. If that is your culture, you're not going to have sustained winning over the course of time, over the course of a sustained period of time. Lakers get LeBron in 2019, right? And they get all with everything that comes with LeBron, the greatness, clutch sports, and everything that comes with LeBron. And it kind of masks the circus that was within that building, within that franchise. And when one player is your culture, then you make a move like fire Frank Vogel over Russell Westbrook, or trade role players that helped you win a championship for Russell Westbrook, and draft picks as well. Your best player cannot be your entire culture. It has not worked out over the last 5 to 10 years we've seen in the NBA. Yeah, Joel Embiid has been the coach in Philadelphia, hasn't got past the second round. Look what happened in Brooklyn a couple years ago with Durant and Kyrie Irving. They were the culture. That shit blew up and went down like the Titanic. You look at franchises that are on the rise, that are winning championships. When Milwaukee won a championship, they had a set culture in place. Now Giannis has become a bigger part of the culture, and Milwaukee is in a place Milwaukee is in no man's land right now. Look at what Tim Connelly did for Denver, left it over to Calvin Booth. They have a set culture. Jokic follows that culture, enforces that culture, and Denver is going to be a contender for years to come. Oklahoma City, again, they're going to be a contender for years to come. It's not that many in the NBA. And you look at the best stretch LeBron had in his career when he learned how to be a champion was in Miami with that culture. And the Lakers have this delusion that they are still the Lakers. The Lakers are no longer the Lakers. Like, the Lakers haven't landed a free agent since like they haven't landed a top free agent minus LeBron since probably Shaq. Think about that. It is a shit show within that organization. And when you're trying to win championships, be great over a period of time, you have to have an established culture that you have to have basketball people that know what the fuck they're doing. Austin right now has had a decade's worth of a culture, and they're about to win a championship, and they are set for the next 4 to 5 years at least. Yeah, Danny Ainge, then Brad Stevens, and they made the right trades. Now they got fortunate with Brooklyn blowing up their team and trade for older Kevin Durant, older Kevin Garnett, and older Paul Pierce. And they were able to flip that into Tatum and Brown, and have some teams pass on Tatum and pass on Brown. Okay, luck happens, but they took advantage of it. They have basketball people that know what they're doing. When they have basketball people that don't allow the players to dictate the culture to a point to where it is harmful or toxic for your program. Again, I'm not knocking LeBron James. LeBron James is doing what he's being allowed to do. Pat Riley told LeBron James and the rest of the Heat, whoever went into his office that one time, no, Eric Spoelstra is the coach. That's it. We're not firing Eric Spoelstra. Tough. Like, we're gonna make this work. I'm not coaching. We're not firing Eric Spoelstra. I'm not coaching. I did that once with Van Gundy. That was a one-time thing. Won a championship. Cool. I'm done with coaching. This is not happening again. And even Miami over the last, they've struggled. They've struggled this year, and in terms of the playoffs, but they had a 4-year run where they were in the finals twice. without having a top 5 player, by the way. And when Pat Riley steps down, Eric Spoelstra will fill that void as president, general manager, and what have you. And they're already developing talent within the organization, like Alonzo Mourning and basketball people. Udonis Haslam. That is how you cultivate and build a culture, and that's how you continuously either be at the top or near the top or in the conversation. And again, so if you look at the NBA right now, you've had so many coaches get fired because of just how poorly mismanaged and in terms of the ownership and general manager. That's why coaches are getting fired. It's not like there are not that many great coaches, but it's not like there met that many bad coaches as well. Like Vogel, guys like Vogel did not forget how to coach. I can make a case Darvin Ham somewhat got a raw deal. Vogel definitely got a raw deal in LA and Phoenix as well. And as far as the Lakers got to basically get back to basics as far as building an organization from within. They had a guy, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on. They had a guy for over 20 years who was as good at drafting a talent evaluation as we've ever seen in sports. He developed Mitch Kupchak. Kupchak kept that tradition going, and they won. And the Lakers even won championships when Jerry West long retired. Lakers won. West was done in 2000. Lakers won championships in 01, 02, 9 and 10. They won 4 more championships after Jerry West quit and retired. That's a culture. They were once at one point. The Lakers had a great culture, and again, that culture unfortunately had died with Jerry Buss, seemingly. So they are no longer like the Lakers. Like they get television ratings. They're the marquee as far as, they have the 17 championships, but as far as being that it team to where they're going to, stars going to come and things of that nature. No. That day is done. Like I told you in the last podcast, LeBron did not come to the Lakers because it was the Lakers. He came to the Lakers because it fit LA, fit his plans for how he was moving forward in life. That was as much of a business decision as it was a basketball decision. Basketball it just happened to be the Los Angeles Lakers. That was a LeBron decision. That wasn't a Laker decision. That wasn't about because he thought the Lakers were a great coach. No. The Lakers were a means to an end for LeBron's grand plan as far as media, his media company, his brand, and things of that nature. And he won a championship with them. But the Lakers could not pull stars. The Lakers right now are. That's a job. It's not a appealing job. You have a team that over the last 12 years has finished above second place in the conference once in the last 12 years. Think about that for a second. How many times have they missed the playoffs in the last decade, 12 years? They have one division title over that time span. From 2008 to 2012, Lakers won 5 straight division titles. And most of that came in the Kobe era. So Dan Hurley looked at that and think about this. This is where you are at as a franchise. Dan Hurley, right, turns down $70 million, a LA lifestyle, 2 of the top 15 players in the league. And he was like, nah, I'm good. Think about that. If that doesn't tell you where the Lakers are at, then nothing will. And people say it was a lowball offer. $70 million is still $70 million. It's still $70 million. That okay. You can call that a lowball offer. especially considering that, I know Dan Hurley has been a great college coach, but it has not been a great history of college coaches succeeding in the NBA. Just go look. I mean, just look at the history of it. Like, how many? There have been way more failures than success stories. The last guy to win a championship that coached in college, in the end, that coached in college in the NBA was Larry Brown. And keep in mind, Larry Brown had a ton of had a number of years at the pro experience before he won that championship with Detroit. So he wasn't coming straight from college, out of college, to coach the Pistons. Only a couple guys, Brad Stevens and Billy Donovan, have had any measure of success going directly from college to pro. Stevens with the conference finals 3 times with Boston, and Donovan went to the conference finals once with in OKC. But it doesn't normally translate. College coaches having any type of sustained success with a pro team in the NBA. So again, they're going to do an interview with Borrega. They've already done Borrega, he could take the Cleveland job. They're going to do another interview with JJ Redick, a guy again who's never coached, never coached anywhere, like assistant college, NBA assistant, NBA head coach, or college, whatever. He has no coaching experience whatsoever. So those are your candidates, basically. And again, it doesn't matter. As long as LeBron is still on that team, as long as you have LeBron being the coach, what coach has any type of power or, job security with that particular situation? Again, I think the Lakers had this idea of themselves. I know that they had this idea of themselves. They legitimately think they're a championship contender. They're delusionally just insane with where they think they are as a franchise. They're nowhere near. They're closer to the lottery than they are a championship. They're closer to being a team that's out the playoffs, that's in the play-in. Well, they were in the play-in, so they're closer to that, to the lottery, than they are a championship, especially in the Western Conference. Who won the week? Brad Stevens. Just mentioned him when I was talking about the Celtics. Remember, Brad Stevens was considered to be a top coach in this league at one point. He now is one general manager, executive of the year, bringing in Porzingis and Drew Holiday, which has completely changed the Boston Celtics. Like those 2 players put the Celtics over the top. They're not. I don't think they're not in this position. Forget about winning a championship. I don't even think they probably wouldn't have gotten back to the finals possibly without those 2 guys, without those 2 players. Those are 2 all-star caliber players. Drew Holiday is a legit top 25 player in this league. We know one of the best 2-way players in this league, and we know what Porzingis has done when he's been healthy. But you give Brad Stevens credit for being self-aware. He basically by stepping down, basically said, "I can only take this team so far. Let me go in the front office and then pass it over to Udoka." Udoka, they thought they had a championship coach, which they probably would have had. How does he feel right now? But that was a whole other story. What transpired? Udoka was going to be ahead to us being a great coach. That situation happened. All right, you get Mazzulla. Mazzulla comes in. They get to a conference championship last year. He made a number of mistakes. Looked like a rookie coach. Comes back this year and is on the cusp of a championship. So you give Brad Stevens a lot of credit, especially with the acquisitions that they made with this particular roster over the last couple of years. A lot of people were down on getting rid of Marcus Smart. I had no problem with it because it was time to shake up the team. That core had been together too long. But a lot of people destroyed the Marcus Smart move. Absolutely destroyed the Marcus Smart move. They caught a break with the Drew Holiday with Milwaukee, get rid of him, but they again had themselves in a position where they were able to get that acquisition. They get 2 first-round picks. Okay, they get 2 first-round picks basically for Porzingis. and they're really set. Even when they win the championship now, they're going to be set for the next 3 to 5 years. They're going to be set for the next 3 to 5 years. They have two top 15 players under the age of 30. Well, under the age of 20. Jaylen Brown's 27, so 27 and under, and Tatum's 26, 25. So Brad Stevens wins the week as he is on the cusp of winning his first championship as an executive of the Boston Celtics. Real thoughts before I let you go. Jerry West, the legendary Jerry West, of course, is the logo, passed away yesterday at the age of 86. Jerry West, of course, is one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. And you talk about a combination of player, executive. There's not been a better one. Probably the greatest in the history of sports. Not been a guy as successful on the court and off the court, being a player and an executive as Jerry West. He won everywhere he went as an executive in terms of just changing a team, taking a team to a championship, or leaving a team better off than when he found it. I mean, look what he's done. Look what he did with the Lakers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Golden State. He had a hand in everything. Jerry West, if you remember, with Golden State, basically told Golden State, don't stop Golden State or encourage Golden State not to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love, because that was going to happen. That was on the table. Okay, a few years ago. They were going to move Kevin Love for Klay Thompson. Jerry West was like, nah. Let's keep this Curry and Thompson thing together. So absolutely a basketball genius. Very peculiar career from the standpoint. I don't think his career is comparable even as a player. Had the one championship, was 0-6 against the Celtics. Never won an MVP, but finished top 6 9 times in the MVP. At that time, the only guys that were winning MVPs were basically Wilt, and Russell. Those are the guys that were winning MVPs. They have Wilt and Russell have 9 MVPs, but 9 MVPs between them. Of course, he was 0-6 against the Celtics, but dominated in those series, averaging like 33, 6, and 5. Finished is still the only player in NBA history to win the Finals MVP on a losing team. And this guy, was you came before my time, but obviously, doing research on him and looking at the numbers, he is one of the greatest players of all time. And, people criticize him for not winning more championships. Well, the Celtics were right. Like, the Celtics were the Celtics. It's probably one of the reasons why, it's probably the reason why you want to call Bill Russell should be regarded at worst the second greatest player. Like, Bill Russell stopped Wilt and Jerry West basically from cost them about 4 to 5 championships, at least. West was somebody who was not afraid to speak his mind. You saw the last real comment he went viral with. He basically ripped JJ Redick a new one, saying, when JJ Redick made the whole plumbers comment about Bob Cousy and the types of lack of athleticism that Cousy and them played against in their day, and basically told JJ Redick, "What, you were just basically an average player. Like, look at your career versus Bob Cousy's and what have you," and basically said, that JJ Redick should pay homage to some of the older guys that allowed him to make as much money as he made. So you can go check that clip out. It was hilarious. I mean, he read JJ Redick all the way. Again, there's never been a better combination of a player / general manager or executive than Jerry West. Like, you can't, in any sport, I can't think of one. A guy who was, again, had basically multiple Hall of Fame careers, Hall of Fame as a player and a Hall of Fame as an executive, and 86 years old. Probably the most important, I would have to say the most important Laker of all time, considering his contributions to the franchise. Between he and Jerry Buss. So you want to put Jerry Buss one, I can understand that. So Jerry Buss, Jerry West, the two most important Lakers of all times in terms of what they did. You have to put Jerry Buss number one, because he bought the team and that changed the entire culture up their team and the marketability and bringing Showtime and all that. But Jerry West is certainly right there. Just one of the all-time greats, and certainly will be missed by the NBA community. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend.